and welcome once again to the Club 100 and BUKC iRacing Championship here on the DDMM YouTube channel. Hope you're doing well, hope you're having a wonderful evening so far, and welcome to a new circuit for us here in the Championship. Welcome to KNOCKHILL for the first time, and the return of the TCR cars for 2022. My name's Andrew Mather. Joining me in the virtual DDMM comms box as ever is Mr. Howard Mitchell. Good evening, Howard. How are we doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you, mate, and hope everybody out there is doing okay. Thank you very much for joining us for something completely different compared to what we were doing in the previous round. The variety of this championship, I say strikes again, but that almost sounds like a bad thing. It's absolutely great. But we are here at a classic combination. Touring cars at KNOCKHILL, as classic as, well, NASCARs at Daytona, funnily enough. But no, it's a brand new track. Obviously, still a relatively new track to the iRacing service as a whole. And yeah, it's fantastic to be here, and yeah, I'm looking forward to this car and track combination and see how our drivers take this on.
And some new cars this evening, mate. So viewers from last year will be familiar when we raced in the front wheel drive legend part of the series in 2021 with the Audi RS3 LMS. But we've opened it up, haven't we? This is one of similar to the GT3s that we saw earlier in the season. This is one of the aspects of the competition where drivers now have a choice of either sticking with the Audi that they know from last year or going to some other vehicles. What do we know about those vehicles?
Well, obviously the touring car roster got expanded by iRacing it was season 4, wasn't it? 2021. I haven't made that up. We have had them for a season already. So as well as the Audi, we've got your Hyundai Elantra, and you've got your Honda Civic Type R. I'm going to be honest, much to my disappointment, because many people know I'm a bit of a Honda Civic fanboy, there are no Hondas in the field tonight. But so its strengths and weaknesses are kind of irrelevant here. But the Hyundai Elantra has obviously captured the imagination of our drivers tonight. Good over the bumps is the Hyundai, and I think that might be why it's such a popular choice around this KNOCKHILL circuit. But it's going to be interesting to see how that compares against the Audi. Of course, a lot of our drivers from last season will have got well bedded in with that Audi and are very experienced with it. That can often be a better choice than a car you're unfamiliar with, even if on paper it's perhaps particularly suited to the circuit. So going to be interested to see that, particularly seeing how that Audi is off the line as well. So yeah, it's again, just as we saw with the GT3s in round 1, it's again nice to see that variety coming out, but obviously there's been plenty of work behind the scenes to make sure that we get fair competition, so it should make for some good racing.
The format for tonight, for those of you not aware, we're back to our classic sprint format, the one that we know and love even from season 1. This being the 3rd year of this competition, so 3 races tonight. All of them will be 24 laps in length, so about 20 minutes each. And we will have reverse grids in play. The top 20 of the results in race 1 will be reversed for the grid of race number 2. The top 10 of the result from race number 2 will be the grid for race number 3. We're still a few minutes away from qualifying beginning. The standard lone qualifying, 2 flying laps for each driver out there. Howard, let's have a look at the championship table after round 2. Still very early in the season, of course, but very, very close at the front.
Very, very close at the front in both classes, mind, as well. Can't help but pick out the tie on Class 2 leadership as well on 176 points between Murray Adams and Matt Hale there in 10th and 11th overall. In fact, I'm going to have to check. That's interesting. I think I loaded the scores in with those names the other way around, so I'm going to have to double check the count back on that. Anyway, we're early doors.
Technically, Sanders has the lead because he won round 2 last week.
Yes, indeed, indeed. That's what I was thinking. So apologies if my graphics are so, but it's a tie. It doesn't matter, right? We're at round 3 and it's tied at the head of the field, and it's pretty close behind as well. I mean, looking at Cameron Watson, Chris Hansen, and Patrick Pisgay having that battle as well. In fact, it's all separated by 1 point all the way back to Charlie Summers, and then it's not long before you get into that tie on points between Adams and Hale at the head of Class 2. So it's a properly close little championship at this point, and it's going to be fascinating to see Sam Sanders with the round victory last time, even if he didn't quite, and we mean quite, win the second race. That didn't matter. He took the round victory overall, and it's going to be interesting to see how they all adapt across to another discipline this evening. Then we have to go a bit further back. Oh, apologies. It's Peter O'Connor there in 26th place. I don't know what's happened there. But nice and close all the way down. And then in 29th place, we have Mr. Josh Ladd, who won the first round, of course, and then didn't compete for round 2. So he's back this evening, and definitely going to be one to watch. Don't let his current position belie what he could be capable of this evening. So that's one to watch as well. And again, as we just keep scrolling down, fantastic to see how many drivers we already had taking part in our championship this season. And yeah, it's going to be an interesting one.
Sorry, I picked a bad moment to take a mouthful of sandwich there.
So I just got
eating my lunch, which I've never been able to have today. You mentioned race 2. There may be some folks who are a little bit confused and be like, whoa, what the heck? How's it round 3? We didn't even have a round 2 stream. You'd be correct. For those of you who may have missed it, because YouTube notifications and subscription pages can be the YouTube subscriptions page at the time. We did have round 2 last week. It was round the oval at Daytona International Speedway. We didn't stream it because we needed some race controlling. In race controlling, we did aplenty. But if you do want to watch the extended highlights from round 2, you can do. Don't watch them now, because obviously we're about to get going with round number 3. But that round 2 extended highlights is available here on the DDMM YouTube channel for you to go and watch. And as Howard alluded to a little bit there, the finish in race 2 was particularly spectacular, mate.
Absolutely. I mean, we couldn't have asked for more on our debut of racing. Our debut of racing properly on ovals in the championship for the first time, and well, I don't want to tell people exactly how it went, but you've got to go back and watch it, folks, to just see how close things got towards the end there. I suppose to acknowledge the other side as well, mate. Yes, there were a lot of cautions. There was a lot of race control involvement needed, but it was a new discipline for the championship, and with the huge variety that we're trying to take in this season comes that need to by the organisers to realise where we need to adapt and prepare for these things, and we were prepared. We had that in place. And in the end, there's a cracking round that everyone can check out on our YouTube channel, and I implore them all to do so.
Absolutely, and if you enjoyed the content here on DDMM and you haven't already done so, please do click that subscribe button and the notification bell as well. Particularly this weekend, Gran Turismo fans, we will have some Gran Turismo 7 content for you in terms of streams and playthroughs starting as of Friday, now that we are in release week. Hello to Gaz Martin, Give It Some Whitefoot, and for Matthew Whitefoot, who raced with us last week and is due out again here tonight. Hello to David Whitehouse as well, Motorsport Magpie, Oi Oi Sabaloy, and a great number of you watching us at the moment. Please do share the stream, give it a like, all of that business. Let people know that we are racing here this evening. We're still a couple of minutes away from the qualifying session beginning, which is due for 19:55 GMT, so we're 2 minutes off. Whilst we're 2 minutes off, Howard, you, as you say, you are a big BTCC man over the years. What are some of your memories of KNOCKHILL?
Oh gosh, well, I'm trying to think of like the standout moments. I mean, just generally, it produces some amazing, some absolutely amazing battling. I mean, it's got good reputation for good reason. The way that the cars are able to follow each other around this circuit is just fantastic. I think, gosh, I mean, it always seems to produce different winners across a round. Is the thing that stands out to me. I can't think of a year where someone's just taken KNOCKHILL and dominated it. I mean, Jake Hill had a bit of a standout win a couple of years ago here. That was good. And it's a circuit that has seen some unknown drivers come to the fore as well, which could be interesting for our championship tonight. You know, so that's going to be an interesting aspect, I think, is how much they can follow each other. And yeah, it's always through the chicane as well. I have to say, some of the incidents we've seen are memorable as well. But yeah, it's a fantastic circuit for some good touring. It's a mainstay, of course, of the British touring cars. Many British fans will be aware of it, and it is a very welcome addition in our virtual championship here.
Absolutely. Checkered flag is out pretty much. There it is for the end of the practice session for what it was worth. Josh Ladd, who is Josh N. Ladd tonight. He's on his alternative account, just for the eagle-eyed amongst you, who wonder why he suddenly dropped down to a B licence. That's why. He was your fastest driver in that session with a 51.05, 10th and a half clear of Michael J. Preston, Sam Sanders, Charlie Summers and Alex Mitchell up in the top 5 here early on. Very, very much looking like the Hyundai is the choice of the day. I'm going to turn the music down, Howard, because, as we say, it is almost time for qualifying. For those of you who've not watched one of these streams before, qualifying works a little bit like this. Each driver is out on track by themselves. There's no traffic, there's no slipstream, there's no, oh, you got in my way during my qualifying, sir. Everybody's out there on their own, in their own kind of parallel universe of a lobby, and they've got 2 flying laps to get themselves around this KNOCKHILL circuit, out onto track, get a fast lap time in, and get onto that grid. Here we are straight away, looking at Josh Ladd, and that's quite a number that he's got there in terms of a livery on his Hyundai.
It's a vexillologist's dream, that car. Loving the number of flags we got going on there. I'm not going to bore everybody by going through them all, but it's a really cool car. I'm loving that. I'm really hoping your trading paint has got the same one that I have, otherwise that comment made no sense.
See Josh Ladd now. That's an interesting one, taking the wide line through the hairpin, going onto this first flying lap, making that run to the line a little bit longer. Let's go on board with Josh Ladd into what I've got to say, Howard, is one of the most fearsome turn 1s in the country, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. When I was saying a moment ago how in the real world you can get a lot of incidents, the start is one of them. You know, Duffers Dip and then through the chicane here. You know, obviously the car's going light as you go over that and it's blind. And then you're going through Clark as he's just done here, and then it's all about getting the braking right into the Taylor's hairpin here. Hairpin, Taylor's corner either way. And then, of course, it's uphill as well at this point. You know, the start-finish straight here is an up and over, so it's you've got to factor that in when you're talking about your acceleration out of the corner, and also how you're going into Duffers Dip at the start of the lap as well. So it's a short lap, but you'd look at a map of KNOCKHILL and think, oh, it looks quite an easy short circuit. That belies a lot of technical detail to getting this circuit right.
Lap times coming in. Josh Ladd's first lap was invalidated. This is where we got it wrong. It's okay this time. Currently, Alex Mitchell, top of the timesheets, 52.09. James Montgomery's gone for a 52.20. This is all still on the first laps. Here's James Fremont in the Liqui Moly Hyundai, currently 9th. We mentioned his big move forward a few weeks ago in the GT3s. Let's see what he can do in the TCRs. Now riding on board with Sam Sanders, winner last week on the oval discipline. Round Daytona in round number 2. Well-deserved victory. Current co-championship leader. What can he do here at Knockhill?
It takes him up to 3rd place there, Andrew.
Josh Ladd has gone quickest, 52.03. So lap time's a little bit down from what we saw in practice. That's to be expected, I think. Tyres take a bit of a while to warm up, I found, when I was in one of the practice sessions earlier in the week, Howard, around this Knockhill circuit.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, yeah, we would expect to see what we're seeing, really, with times improving towards the end of the session. And as you say, that's not just down to the drivers bedding themselves in. Tyres getting up to temperature, as you say, is an important aspect around this short track, of course, as well.
Big lap there, sorry Howard, from Matt Hale in the Simply Catnip G3 Pro car. The 333 has gone onto pole position in Class 2. A fantastic time from Matt, 52.85, sticks him 10th overall as well. He'll be very happy with that.
Yeah, and Sam Sanders has just gone on to provisional pole as well at the top of the timesheets too. So a fair amount of movers here, as we predicted in the latter stages.
Sanders, Preston is your front row at the moment. Mitchell, Summers row 2, Ladd, Montgomery row 3, Keithley and Dix row 4. Tom Dix was very unlucky last week in the oval discipline to not get a better result than he did. Here we're looking at Charlie Summers. He's putting the kettle on. He's got the PG Tips livery on. Not my choice of brew, if I may say so. Other tea bags are available. Ones from Harrogate are particularly good. But here he is, Summers, on the second row of the grid at the moment. And he's had a very good start to his first season in this championship.
He has. He definitely has. It's been an impressive run for him so far, as you say. Getting on the podium last time out as well. So very impressive. One of the exciting additions to the championship this season.
Well, there we go. Qualifying completed. Looks like we are gridding up then for the first race of the evening here at Knockhill. Let's have a look at the grid. Sam Sanders will be on pole position. Michael Preston alongside on the front row. Alex Mitchell, a great qualifying there from Alex, joined by Charlie Summers on the second row. Josh Ladd and James Montgomery row 3. Ed Keithley and Cameron Watson row 4. Tom Dix and Ben Bennyworth row 5. Then the first of the Class 2s. Matt Hale ahead of Christopher Kirk on your 6th row of the grid. Chris Hansen and Rodri Parry there on row 7. Luke Austin and Alan Curtis on row 8. James Fremont and Adrian Goodwin row 9. Adrian Bliss and Tom Kemping complete the top 20. Paul Watson and Andrew Golby row 11. David Whitehouse and Ian Sumner on row 12. Rattling through them, Christopher Powell and JJ Aston row 13, Ian Allen and Andrew Dawson row 14, Matthew Whiteford and Craig Brown on row 15. Jay Elliott is the last of the 31 drivers who are in the lobby ready to go racing here at Knockhill for round 3 of the 2022 Club 100 and BUKC iRacing Championship. Howard, this should be a good one. Yeah, this is going to be a really interesting one here. The run through Duffers Dip and through to the sort of first major braking event at McIntyre. This is going to be a very interesting one. And I always like what we get from the touring cars in our Club 100 series. So this is good either way. And this time we're throwing in the new circuit and the new variety of cars as well. This is going to be good. Waiting for a couple more drivers to load in. Good evening to Steve Hicks. Championship organiser is not with us in racing spirits tonight. He's in Spain with work at the moment, but he is watching here on the stream. Do let us know where you're watching from, who you're supporting. We're ready to go racing here at Knockhill. Look out for the Audis. They are particularly good off the line. Away we go. Good start for Sanders and Preston. Not such a good start for Alex Mitchell. Already going backwards there, Howard. as they go towards turn 1.
Yeah, absolutely. The interesting thing now is, does everyone get through cleanly enough through the first few corners? It looks like they are. Here they go through the chicane for the first time as well. But it's been a great start from Sam Sanders, as you say. Alex Mitchell's dropped back. He's down to 8th place early on here. But good start from Sam Sanders, Michael Preston, Josh Ladd. It's familiar names at the front, mate. Once again showing their skill across multiple disciplines here.
Short circuit in terms of time, but lots of corners, lots of opportunities to get things wrong. Let's count them through at the end of the first lap of 24 here in race number 1. It's Sam Sanders ahead of Michael Preston. Good start for Josh Ladd up to 3rd. From the 3rd row of the grid, apologies. James Montgomery has also moved a similar number of places. He's up to 4th. Charlie Summers has held there in 5th. Tom Dix did get the good start that we expected for the Audis. There is a bit of an Audi situation with Matt Hale in the 333. I think was that the 6, 7, 8 of Aidan Bliss returning to the series tonight, and round the outside, maybe with a bit of a slowdown actually for Bliss there in the green Audi. Matt Hale goes back up a position, is currently 2nd place in class. It is all going on in the middle there. Great to see the Stand With Ukraine car there from David Whitehouse, the 777, currently running in 19th place. All of our thoughts go out to everyone suffering in that part of the world at the moment. How lucky we are that we can escape from all of that and go for a bit of racing on a Wednesday night. Out of the final corner, there's Ian Allen and Andrew Golby having a fight. I believe this is over 24th place, Howard.
Is indeed. Nice and close here as they come onto a new lap, and Golby's going to have a look to the inside but thinks better of it. And the battle carries on. And that's,
I think that may have been Tom Kemping. Yeah, the Belgian coloured, Belgian liveried car, the Hyundai, piloted by Tom Kemping. Gets back on the road. There's significant damage there also to Christopher Powell, the 769.
Yeah, absolutely. Not sure what's happened to Christopher there, but yeah, just got out of shape there, did Kemping. That didn't look like he was helped into it. Now just got to try and find that momentum again. This is Craig Brown battling away with Ian Sumner and David Whitehouse.
I am liking the livery there on that one. That is a good old throwback livery to the Super Touring era of the BTCC, and correctly adapted there so it doesn't say Laguna.
Absolutely. Slightly closer here at the front. Sam Sanders now coming under increased pressure from Michael Preston, although as I say that, that perhaps wasn't the neatest line through Clark for Preston, and indeed he's now under pressure from Josh Ladd as they head towards the hairpin. But that's not a good moment there either for Josh Ladd, and it's allowed James Montgomery to come up into 3rd place, Andrew.
Yeah, James has been putting in a lot of hard work ahead of this event tonight. He's running well there in 3rd place.
Rattles all the way through the hairpin. That's another moment there. There's damage to Alex Mitchell's car, I think, Andrew. He's missing a lot of Elantra right there.
Yeah, and I think he's going to have to come into the pits. Now, he will have a fast repair that will get him back in the race, but that's a real shame. As round goes Matt Hale. I think that's coming out of turn 3. Well, he had a huge save in the Audi in the practice session the other night, but he's not been able to save that one. That's lost him a number of positions down to 19th.
Yeah, and Craig Brown is off as well, out of it through the chicane. Not sure if that was unforced or if he was helped into it. It's getting a little bit elbows out now in this one, Andrew. It's
getting a bit touring car here at Knockhill. We love to see it, but still Sam Sanders leads from Matthew Preston. James Montgomery up to 3rd. Looks like David Whitehouse is looking down the inside there. It's got the 888 of Ian Sumner just ahead of him, a bit wide out of the final corner for Whitehouse. Is going to be under attack from Tom Dix here.
Yeah, side by side between Whitehouse and Dix as they come over the line, and Craig Brown is looking there to pick up any spoils or scraps that might come his way. And ultimately, that was a nice little battle there. Oh, and he gets through on David Whitehouse, does Craig Brown. So that is Brown up into 17th place.
Is indeed. I think there's a tiny bit of damage to Dix's wing mirror there. We're back with the battle for third place. There is Josh Ladd with all the flags of the world ahead of us, riding on board with James Montgomery. Josh Ladd has had a huge moment there through Duffus Dip. That was very similar to what we saw from Matt Hale in the practice session the other night, and thankfully Josh Ladd held it.
Yeah, it was an amazing save there by Ladd through Duffus Dip. I genuinely thought we were going to see an extremely uncharacteristic error from him there, but held it really, really nicely. I mean, yeah, they are front-wheel drive, aren't they? That was quite a drift.
It was indeed, and already a third of the way through this race, a pulsating first race of the night here at Knockhill. It's the top 5 clear. Cameron Watson, though, having another really good run here in 6th place. Just saw him in the back of shot as we're back with Craig Brown, who's on the drive through the field, which we've grown accustomed to him doing. Down the inside there, that's a nice move on Tom Dix for 16th place.
Yeah, absolutely, and it might have opened the door. Oh, and it definitely opened the door if Tom Dix goes all over the grass. It's allowed Whitehouse through and the recovering Matt Hale through as well, but there's a bit of a touch between those two as they head into turn number 1. Gladly they get it sorted out nice and quickly, and Matt Hale is through on Dix as well. Costly moment there for Tom Dix from the hairpin onwards. Yeah,
Matt Hale was not giving an inch there to Tom Dix, not allowing him get that spot back. Here we are with Ben Bennyworth and Chris Hansen. Hansen, last year's Class 2 champion. This is the battle for 7th place, and Bennyworth's run a little bit deep there. Looks to be having some connection issues as well, as lost the place to Hansen. Hansen up to 7th.
Yeah. Good judgment there from Hansen. Just kept the pressure on and allowed the driver ahead of him to make a bit of a mistake. Adrian Goodwin is having a good battle with Ed Keithley as well. I'm liking the Greg's livery.
I was going to say, that's one of my favourites, I think, on the grid. But I've also got to rate the one behind. Loving the 40 Ford Parmalat livery. That is something you don't see every day.
That is true. That is true. What's not to like about the touring cars? They get such good liveries going as well. I love it. Love to see it. As it's getting hairy again here in the mid. Matt Hale going side by side with David Whitehouse, and Whitehouse loses it through the chicane, and that is Whitehouse off. And Andrew, you're always taking risks if you take a suddenly different line through the chicane. One has to often be on rails through there, and just yeah, that was a hairy moment for Whitehouse, and he's had to turn back to the pits.
Yeah, that was really unfortunate for Whitehouse. I don't think there was any malice involved in the incident there. It was just one of those.
And Sanders is off.
Oh yes, race leader is off the road. He's going to lose the lead here. And they're catching the traffic as well. Michael Preston takes over in P1.
On board with Josh Ladd. Senses the opportunity on the switchback. Has he got the overspeed to get by the former race leader now? On the will be officially the former race leader now, because we've crossed the line onto a new lap. Josh Ladd can see the opportunity here to go down the inside. He's going to stamp home his authority on the inside line. And so long as he can hold it through the dip, which he can, that'll be job done for now. But as you say, Andrew, they are onto traffic now. Oh, which Julie got out of the way. That was a bit too much out of the way.
I think that was Ian Allen pulling over to one side for a moment there. I think that's Rodri Parry in the 666, going a bit slowly. Maybe has a slowdown penalty at the moment. So still all to play for. Here's Kempink and Sumner, with Matt Hale just ahead of them. So this is kind of the region of the field now, Howard. All of these drivers have had some form of issue at some point in this race so far.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? And yeah, I mean, interesting for the Class 2 standings as well. For drivers like Hale and Kempink, they need to try and get a bit of a recovery on to salvage what they can in the latter half of this race, which we are now into. So yeah, this is an interesting one, and they do well if they're relatively matched on pace. Then they do well to work together, I think, as they try and get their way through the field. As it's close up at the front again, Andrew, as they're coming onto the back of Rodri Parry now, who I think will duly get out of the way for the leaders. But this is a new challenge for Michael Preston, and not one we've seen all that much of so far this season, is needing to lap cars.
Yeah, it was a feature that was talked about in the virtual drivers briefing at half-past, and everyone's doing the right thing at the moment, just giving each other a good amount of space. But Preston having to defend here into Duffer's Dip. Remember, you can use the command in the chat, !timing. That will take you to the live timing page over on the Double Dash Motorsport Media website. And it will currently show you that Michael Preston leads by around 0.4 of a second ahead of Josh Ladd, Sam Sanders, and James Montgomery still in the play here. On board with him now, Howard. He's playing a good game, I feel, at this moment. He's not getting involved with these top three. He's waiting patiently. Still a lot of laps in this race to go.
Yeah, keeping his powder dry, waiting for the opportunities to come to him, and keeping the pace up to keep the pressure on those ahead of him. And yeah, it's a good, strong strategy, I think, to not get too involved. And hey, you know, 4th place points is going to be a good way to open up your tally for the evening, even if something doesn't come your way. So it's good, wily strategy here, particularly being as they are coming up onto the traffic at the moment.
Let's talk a little bit about Class 2. Christopher Kirk is doing a brilliant job at the moment, the 2.56 in 11th place. We're looking at the battle between Tom Dix and Craig Brown, which is over 15th place. Matt Hale and Tom Kemping just behind.
He's going to have a look, is he, down McIntyre? He's going to hit the sausage curve on the inside apex. Through the chicane they'll go. Nicely kept within the circuit limits. And then through Clark. And get a good run through here to set himself up for the hairpin at Taylor's. No, Matt Hale is actually going to get a better run. And I'd be surprised if you didn't see, as they've got a slow-moving car ahead, though, that's going to cause Matt Hale to duck out of it. Yeah, and he's got to wait for another opportunity.
That's Ian Allen, who's a lap down. He's dutifully got over to one side of the circuit. Here's the 34 of Sanders. Just looking again at Class 2, Howard. I'd like to see that James Fremont's having another good night so far here in Race 1. It's in 3rd place in the Class 2 standings at the moment. The Class 2 is denoted by the blue number boards on the left-hand side of your screen. The red ones being Class 1s. Interesting squabble this. How does he say? It's Alex Mitchell and Ian Sumner effectively fighting over pole position for race number 2 at the moment.
Yes, I don't know how much they're thinking about it, but whoever comes away with the win of this particular battle, it'll make a big difference for the complexion to their second race for sure. And Ian Sumner defending hard there to the inside of the hairpin. Mitchell's got good drive off the corner. He's going to pull alongside, one would have thought here. Struggled a little bit, didn't he, off the start? But now racing well.
Is indeed, should have the inside line for Duffer's Dip. Does indeed. Ian Sumner gives him racing room. Is off there. Oh, was that Paul Watson? Yes, it was Paul Watson. So after all of that, that's worked out quite well for Sumner. He's now back in 20th place and has got that pole position back, and that looks like big damage for Paul Watson. He may be out of the race. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? But at least we have got the 3 races here tonight, so there are opportunities for redemption on that side. This top 4, Andrew, they've just been, in fact, there's a change within that, isn't there? Because Charlie Summers is now ahead of James Montgomery. I'm not sure that was the case last time we checked in. Yeah, you were correct there, that Charlie Summers is coming to the boil, but tish, because he's in a T car. Has got up to P4 ahead of James Montgomery. Just looking through who our biggest movers are in this race so far. We've talked about Craig Brown, he's up 13 positions, but Andrew Dawson as well, the Class 2 driver in the 023, is up 10 places, back with the leaders, on board with Josh Ladd, trying to find a way past title rival Michael Preston. And he may have an opportunity coming up with some traffic ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to work out who that is ahead, actually.
I think it's Ian Sumner.
Yeah, yes it is, sorry. Ian Sumner indeed, who's he can just let them pull on by and go, oh, and that's going to be the opportunity for Josh Ladd, and contact.
A significant piece of contact there. Josh Ladd saw the gap, tried to catch Michael Preston off guard, made contact now. What will happen here? I think Josh Ladd initially was trying to give the position back. The trouble was he had Sam Sanders and Charlie Summers right on his tail, and he's carried on. He's carried on for now.
Yeah, well, I don't think he's got the option of giving it back at this stage, has he? He's got he's too far ahead. But yeah, Sanders as well coming under increasing pressure from Charlie Summers, as you say, Andrew, coming to the boil, as there's a little moment with the gravel there for Josh Ladd. They are pushing right on the limit here of this top four.
And there's not much margin for error at a circuit like this. Into Taylor's they go. We're back on board now, a little bit further back down the field. This is around, yeah, it's the Ed Keithley, Adrian Goodwin battle. Also approaching some traffic there on the inside. It's the 1-4-3 of Alan Curtis. Ooh, Keithley.
It's going to work, unfortunately, for Keithley, isn't it?
Keithley doesn't come off too good in all of that. Hope you're enjoying the coverage, everybody at home, if you're watching around the world. So we know we've got some international viewers tonight. Oh, that's an interesting line there from Rodri Parry in the 666. If you haven't already and you don't mind doing so, do click that subscribe button and the like button as well. Really does help us out. Here's a smaller channel at DDMM. Side by side for second place, Sam Sanders and Charlie Summers. Charlie Summers is making the UEA University of East Anglia BUKC driver work really, really hard here, and Sanders is determined to not let him through.
Yeah, great defensive positioning from Sanders, but there's a sense of inevitableness. That's a bit of a touch, I think, into turn one. How long can Sanders hold on to this? How wide can he make his Hyundai? And it's giving a strong lead to Josh Ladd as behind these two, Andrew. James Montgomery now coming under serious pressure from the recovering Michael Preston.
He is indeed. We're on lap 21 out of 24 here in the first race. It's only the first race of 3. We're going to be out of breath by the end of tonight. Josh Ladd looks to have this one under control, if not in a slight cloud of controversy. And there's James Montgomery, solidly again up in the top 5. Can he fend off Michael Preston, who didn't have the best of races in race 1 last week either? Only finished in 9th place. Came back to win round 2, but in terms of came back to win race 2 of round 2. The damage was already done. He was never going to win and take the full haul of championship points from that position. They went to Sam Sanders on Wednesday night last week. Still Christopher Kirk, by the way, in the 256, leading in Class 2. There's the 72 of James Fremont battling with Tom Dix over 13th place. And Aidan Bliss is having a good race as well, Howard. It's 6, 7, 8 in 12th place at the moment, returning. First appearance for Aidan this year in the CLUB100 of BUKC iRACIng Championship. The Cardiff University driver having a very good run.
Yeah, he is indeed, mate. It's great to see him back. As we got a driver off there.
It's Jay Elliott.
Yeah.
In the 000 plate. Yeah. This is a fun little battle. Alpha Live producer versus Alpha Live cameraman. David Whitehouse and Luke Austin fighting for position as well. 26th place.
Yeah.
Whitehouse down the inside. Austin gives him room, a good amount of room. That's a good move from David Whitehouse. Gets him up to 26th.
Yeah, nice little move. It just shows that there are some really nice battles happening throughout this field. I'm not sure this one's done yet either. As they head into turn 1, is Luke Austin going to come back at him? Yes, he is. Can he make it stick? Yes, he can, under braking into 3.
Very nice move from Luke there. Previously did a lot of British Club Racing, MR2s in particular. Meanwhile, here's the battle with, well, looking back at Alan Curtis there in the 143, and the rear bumper of Andrew Golby in the 119. Last lap flag is out though for this first race of the evening. Josh Ladd still leading the race. Here he is, car number 42. Just going to go past Alex Mitchell. He'll be really disappointed, I think, after having had such a good qualifying. Well, at least at the moment he's in 18th place, so he'll have a good grid slot again for race number 2. But Josh Ladd is going to take another victory in the Club 100 and BUKC iRacing Championship. Race 1 of the evening goes to Josh Ladd. Sam Sanders in 2nd place. Charlie Summers impressive again there in 3rd. James Montgomery 4th. Michael Preston 5th. We'll wait a little bit to find Cameron Watson finishing in 6th place. The post-race shenanigans have begun. That is a great result from Cameron Watson in 6th. 7th for Ben Bennyworth. 8th for Adrian Goodwin. 9th Chris Hansen. 10th Ed Keefley. 11th across the line is going to be the 256 of Christopher Kirk, who will take the win in Class 2. Aidan Bliss finishes 12th overall, 2nd in Class 2. And Tom Dix, James Fremont, Tom Kemping, Matt Hale and Craig Brown all finished on the lead lap. Alex Mitchell next up in 18th place, will be 3rd on the grid for race 2. Andrew Dawson 2nd on the grid for race 2 with 19th. Pole will go to Matthew Whitefoot, and the timing screen has reset in front of me, but we'll get ready for race 2 shortly. Howard, what did you make of that first race? Entertaining stuff here at Knockhill.
Yeah, definitely, mate. It was all go everywhere, really. We had some really good battles throughout the field. That top 4, actually top 5, I would give that to, actually, were really strong there. It's going to be interesting to see them now trying to come through the field. You know, the lads, Sanders, Summers, Montgomery and Preston pack. How are they going to fare, and what opportunities does this give to the other drivers now that we're reversing the grid so much? The top 20 reversed here, don't forget.
Top 20 reversed. There is Andrew Dawson in the blue and orange Hyundai. He'll be 2nd on the grid for this one. Matthew Whitefoot on the front row with him. And away we go then for race number 2. In fact, I didn't see Whitefoot on the grid there, so it may be, yes, Andrew Dawson leading out front here. Whitefoot looks to have started from pit lane. Alex Mitchell 2nd early on. Craig Brown in a good position. Oh, is that Michael Preston off in the background? I think it was. Michael Preston in trouble through the first couple of corners. Ben Bennyworth is in trouble as well. I think Tom Kemping's damaged. There's a lot of chaos going on around. This may be a safety car.
Yeah,
James Montgomery is in trouble as well.
Yeah, and there's that suspension. Oh, that's very much suspension damage there. As yeah, the caution has been called, I think, Andrew.
Yeah, it has come out from race control, so this will all be calmed down. And do often see this in the first of the reverse grid races, and James Montgomery is doing some impeccable driving to get that one back to the pits.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yes, that was all a bit go at the start, wasn't it? Can I be honest? I didn't think we were about to start because I was judging it by whether the pole sitter was on the grid, and he wasn't, so I didn't worry. That was there's a lesson for life. Don't judge it by whether the pole sitter's there. That's not how you judge a race start. It's the lights that are king.
Yeah, that's really not worked. I can sort of see the logic. I probably wouldn't have played that card myself if I was Matthew Whitefoot.
There's Michael Preston coming from out of the pits though, Andrew.
Yep.
And Chris Hansen as well is towards the back as well.
So drivers should be able to keep themselves on the lead lap with the fast repairs, but they'll obviously have a lot of work to do. Alex Mitchell isn't going to mind this though, because it's going to keep him in the lead of this race. And we'll just wait. I think we're waiting for James Montgomery to catch back up onto the field. Ed Keithley and JJ Aston, I think, are also still in a bit of peril.
Every roll of the dice, Andrew, so far this evening hasn't quite gone Michael Preston's way, has it? It didn't. He had the contact with Ladd in that first race, just put him down and docked him a few points, and now he's got it all to do in this one.
Lights
down in 27th.
Lights are out on the safety car, Howard. So the field. I don't know if you can confirm and see in any of the race control messages that the pace car should be coming in this lap, get us back underway. So it'll effectively be a 21 lap sprint race with a single file restart.
This is going to be the opportunity for Matt Hale to, or drivers like Matt Hale, actually he's not by himself, but drivers who maybe had a bit of an incident in Heat 1, this is going to be the real opportunity to start getting some significant points back on the board.
Absolutely. So Mitchell, Brown, Dawson, Dix, Goodwin, that is the top 5 ahead of this restart here at Knockhill. Hale, Bliss, Sanders, Ladd, Summers are already all in the top 10. And that middle pack is nicely positioned. Ian Sumner's in there, Andrew Golby's in there, Alan Curtis, David Whitehouse. These are all drivers who will be looking to take this opportunity. Safety car should be pulling in then into pit lane. There it goes. All over to Alex Mitchell, who is now effectively the safety car, and he's gone for it. Good restart there from Alex Mitchell. Caught Craig Brown out and is surely going to lead into Douglas Dip for the first time. Are all tyres and brakes up to temperature for the number 53? Nice send there. Look at that. Adrian Goodwin in the Greg's car. Down the inside, takes third place. Sam Sanders is on the move as well, trying to go around the outside of Aidan Bliss. He's been shoulder barged there by, and there's almost a 3-4 wide situation there. I think Matt Hale was involved in the middle of all of that. Josh Ladd has nicked through, past his Cardiff teammate Aidan Bliss. It is all gloves off here at Knockhill.
Yeah, and it's still going, oh, there's contact there for Adrian Goodwin. And after such an amazing move on the start of that, on that restart, Andrew, it's Adrian Goodwin off coming out of Clark's.
Yeah, I think it may have been contact there with Matt Hale, as we're looking at Christopher Powell just nudging along Paul Watson in the light blue and pink there. Matthew Whitefoot on the inside. And Ben Bennyworth trying to fight his way through at the moment with Luke Austin in tow.
Yeah, absolutely, and behind them both, here we are on board with Michael Preston, now looking for how he can pick his way through.
Oh,
that's
big!
Through on Chris Kirk.
Well, this is what Michael Preston's got to do now. He's got to go for it in this race. If he can get up into the top 10, that's a good recovery. Gets him a good grid slot for race number 3, but he is properly on a damage limitation job now. Down the inside of Luke Austin, takes another position. That's 19th. There's some squabbling out ahead between Bennyworth, Whitefoot and Powell. And in fact, it's all queuing up behind Paul Watson in 15th here. They've allowed David Whitehouse, Alan Curtis and Andrew Golby all to get away. It's getting a bit mixed. Yeah, Montgomery's in there as well in the purple and pink Hyundai.
Yeah, absolutely. Preston's been able to pull alongside Whitefoot. And down the inside of turn 1, not for the first time, we see Preston stomp on the brakes and get that one done. Josh Ladd here in 5th place with Charlie Summers chasing down, with Sam Sanders on his tail chasing down Charlie Summers. Bit of a repeat showing of what we had in the previous race, but this is good stuff that these drivers who were at the forefront of the first heat have so far been able to get themselves very comfortably into the top 10, with the exception, of course, of Michael Preston. Still Alex Mitchell out front, though. Here he is, having a bit of a quiet one at the moment, Andrew. 2 seconds to the good he is, actually, and that is a nice, comfortable lead.
You'll take this if you're Alex Mitchell. We know he's got pace. We saw it in the qualifying session. He's got a calm bit of road. He's got a good gap. He can control this race now. Still a lot of it to go. We're only on lap 7 of the scheduled 24. Bad news, unfortunately, for Christopher Kirk. It's not been as good a second race as he was in the first one. The 256 is currently in 25th.
Sorry, Andrew, a bit of a moment there for Michael Preston through McIntyre. As behind him, this battle going on as well between Paul Watson, Ben Bennyworth and Chris Hansen. Hansen in that Catnip car, as Bennyworth ahead of him pulls alongside or begins to get good speed out of Clark, but he's going to have to slot back in behind Paul Watson here, and that'll give Watson the opportunity to go defensive, as indeed is Montgomery against Powell, and that's almost round for Chris Hansen, but he gets corrected.
He got corrected by the culprit. It was Adrian Goodwin who got a bit deep on the brakes and into the rear bumper of Hansen, half tipped him round, and then righted his direction along the circuit, shall we say, with the second impact.
Well, no harm, no foul, right? Something like that. Brilliant stuff.
Something's happened to Craig Brown out there. Howard is dropping down the order. The lead gap is now nearly 6 seconds for Alex Mitchell, who sets the fastest lap of the race so far, 51.77, side by side between Dix and Summers.
Yeah, and almost side by side between Ladd and Sanders as well. And this is the gift that keeps on giving for our race leader, Andrew, because there's definitely no working together going on in this pack. Into turn 3 they go. And Josh Ladd employing... Oh, Josh Ladd with a big move there into chicanes. That was, and that's given the opportunity, I think, for Sam Sanders to go down the inside, and that is Ladd all over the gravel. He's going to try and keep his foot in it, is he? Nice enough recovery back onto the road, but bit of a hairy moment. It puts him back into the clutches of, oh, there's a touch there as well with Craig Brown, and Craig Brown is round.
Yeah, Craig Brown is round. He's going to get back onto the circuit with an alternative line.
That's a very diplomatic way of putting it.
I'd be interested to see. We won't be able to get one on the stream, but a replay of that, and whether there was any moving in the braking zone. Yeah, Craig Brown won't be too best pleased about that. Luke Austin's having an exciting night out there. Here he is in 22nd place, trying to get past Paul Watson there in the 380. Down the inside into Duffer's Dip. Racing room just about given between the two of them there.
It's brilliant stuff, isn't it? I'm loving these battles tonight. It's ahead of them as well. Whitefoot and Golby are kicking off as well, I think, Andrew.
Yeah, everybody's enjoying it out there.
Yeah.
Craig Brown has cut to the pits. Oh, was that Ian Sumner who had just caught a sight of as off the road? Yes, it is. So trouble there for Sumner, who's currently in 21st place. So Matt Hale has had problems, is a lap down. Craig Brown, David Whitehouse and Michael Preston's pulled off as well. So Michael Preston is completely out of this race. This is not a good night for the Southampton driver. Joining Rodri Parry, Ian Allen, Ed Keeflin, JJ Aston as out of this one.
Yeah, absolutely. That is not good stuff. There he is. You can see damage there, Andrew. Clearly been in the wars a bit. In fact, I think the front of that, yeah, that is a wobbly looking Elantra.
Yes.
On the front right there.
That is not showroom spec, shall we say.
Not sure if Hyundai would be glad you said it, or be worried that you felt the need to say that.
Here's Christopher Powell heading up a battle over 11th place. Now, interestingly, they've got the pole position spot for race 3, just ahead of them. Thing is, though, Howard, they don't look very organised.
No, I think they're just going all out throughout this evening. There's not a lot of strategic play. I know strategy calls are not always the most, not the first thing one thinks of when they're talking about touring cars, but it does still come into play. But at the end of the day, we're talking about sprint-style races where it is, it's not always the case that you want to be battling, but who can blame them? It is good fun, to be fair. But yeah, if you're Alex Mitchell, we will just check back in with him.
I do
6
like this
seconds.
livery as well. It's very neat.
It is. I like it. It's for some reason, well, it makes me want to eat a Cadbury's Eclair, but I like the livery. I mean that in a good way. Who doesn't like a Cadbury's Eclair? Side by side between Paul Watson and Andrew Golby, that is, I believe. Is that a Haynes Workshop manual livery on the Golby car? I'm liking that. I'm liking it.
Oh, contact! Contact with Luke Austin. Both of them off and in the gravel. Austin just about able to get it round and not make contact with the barrier.
I mean, at least Golby will know how to repair it.
Yes.
He's got the literature.
That's a shame for both of those drivers. Yeah, it moves them outside of the top 15 now.
Ooh. Big move here again. Another good send by Adrian Goodwin. I know he dropped down a bit after that incident on the first lap, but he's racing well tonight, Andrew, picking his moves very nicely. Yeah,
so he's up to the 13th place now. If he can get up to the front of this queue, Chris Hansen at the front of it, that's the key 10th position tonight for getting pole position in race number 3. Important few laps, I feel, this for Hansen when we talk about this, because if he can just break away from Alan Curtis behind, it's almost like when we were talking about the C finals and the B finals at the weekend at Buckmore Park. If you can make the pack behind lose a bit of hope and spirit to get that promotion spot or that reverse grid slot that they want, they just end up battling amongst themselves for pride and the points on offer for 11th. Chris Hansen could have a good run to the end of this race.
Yeah, absolutely. It's and as you say, he's staying ahead of Curtis well now by a second or so. Just on board with Chris Powell. I'm just gonna, I think, a shout out, mate, that didn't he drive well in
very well,
the real world,
very well indeed on Sunday. Took a heat victory, and even with the misfortune for James Martin when a certain colleague of mine launched a comms curse cannonball at him, Chris had to be there to win it, had to be there to pick up the pieces, and that he very much did.
I've had to give the Comsbox curse cannon a full wipe down from that weekend, to be honest with you. It was quite the shock from the commentator's curse department. But no, it was, as you say, it was very much, it was good fortune for Chris Powell to take that win from James Martin, but you had to be there to win it, and that's exactly where he was.
Slightly nervy situation this for Alex Mitchell. He has caught the back of the traffic and will be hoping to get through. For the moment, is off, it's Alan Curtis in the 143. Now he was fighting over 11th place. Needs to be careful here. That's a big off for David Whitehouse in the background. He's just about got going now. The problem for Mitchell, he's losing a lot of time to those behind. There is Charlie Summers. He has now got through past the first of the back markers. Luke Austin is next. And the gap has, it's 3.7 seconds now. So we have another look at Alan Curtis there, side by side between James Fremont and Paul Watson. This is over 15th place. Respect and room given by both drivers. Matt Hale just behind them, but he's a lap down.
Not something we've had to say about Hale at all this season so far. Just goes to show how dramatic this race has been. It does mean that they're in an interesting situation, doesn't it? When drivers are a lap down, but they're there through incidents. I think Hale's got the pace to unlap himself, but doesn't want to interfere too much with the battle.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right there, Howard, with that assessment. Here's Aidan Bliss, your Class 2 leader. And in fact, this is a battle for the Class 2 lead, because Andrew Dawson is just behind. And Andrew Dawson has used the reverse grid very nicely indeed. Cardiff University branding on the back of Aidan Bliss's car there. Clearly likes his cider. Go defensive to the inside. Still a good number of laps remaining in this one. Only on lap 19 out of 24.
On board with Andrew Dawson. Perhaps slightly better drive off of Taylor's hairpin by Aidan Bliss. Perhaps something to be expected a little bit in the Audi versus the Hyundai, actually. With Bliss being second highest placed of the Audis so far in this one.
Yep. Yeah, they're doing okay. The Audi drivers who've been able to keep it together.
Full commitment from Dawson through the chicane. Managed to hold on to it.
I've always found with the Audi, if you treat it right, if you don't try and push it too hard, it is a car that rewards you.
Yep.
That's definitely the case with Aidan Bliss at the moment. Chris Hansen, by the way, is still holding on to 10th place. Was it important? Well, it'll give him pole position for race number 3. Here's a car that I've wanted to see. It's Chris Kirk. It's the 256. He's in 22nd place at the moment, looking down the inside of Andrew Golby. Thinks better of it, ducks out of it.
I almost thought he ducked out of it a bit too late for a moment, but managed to hold it well. Battle continues, this being the battle over 21st place.
Alex Mitchell still leading, by the way. 2.2 seconds is now his lead. And I think he is now cutting through the traffic. Here's Sam Sanders.
Second place battle coming upon traffic now, Andrew. See here Charlie Summers' urgency to get by on Luke Austin.
Yep.
This could be where it gets interesting for that second place battle.
Yeah, the lead's actually gone back out to around 3 seconds, so now it's the turn, and down the inside of Austin goes the first of this group from second down. Sanders goes through as well, but I think Josh Ladd's going to get held up by both Luke Austin and Alan Curtis there. It's just the nature of this circuit. It's so difficult to overtake. And also, I imagine, get out of the way. It's not a wide.
Yeah, very true.
It's not a big wide Formula One track. If you're one of these cars a lap down, you don't want to fall off the road by getting in the dirt.
Yeah, I mean, we saw with Luke Austin on that lap. I think you're approaching the chicane. What are you going to do? You've got to go onto a conventional enough line that you can hold onto the car. We saw from Matt Hale in the last race how easy it can be to lose it in that chicane. If you're not running on rails through that corner, and yeah, it's definitely a challenge for both lapper and lappee, if those are even a word. Andrew Dawson applying pressure to James Montgomery, and Aidan Bliss ahead.
It's been a good recovery this from Montgomery. It was one of the cars involved in the first lap incident. Had a broken track rod, was crabbing back to the pits, but got the fast repair, stayed on the lead lap under the safety car. He's got himself back in the top 10. Good job.
Yep, nice job so far from Andrew Dawson. And at the moment, on for some decent points, as you say, mate. Aidan Bliss, though, ahead. Looks like he's coming under a lot of pressure here into the hairpin from James Montgomery. And he's got to get through on traffic as well.
Yep.
That's Tom Kemping, I think. Who's going through on? Actually, was it?
I think it was Andrew Golby in the Haynes Manuals car.
Golby. I'm getting my Belgian-coloured cars mixed up. That's what's happening there. Still defending is Bliss.
This is very BUKC, I feel, when you're under attack from a driver coming from the back and trying to get past traffic as well. Aidan Bliss is holding his line really nicely here. He is not making it easy for James Montgomery at all, and why should he? Still holding on to 7th place. We're on the last lap for the leader. So Alex Mitchell is on his way to a first ever victory in the Club 100 of BUKC iRacing Championship, at least for an individual race. Sumner moves to one side.
As you say, Andrew, though, if you're Sumner, what were you going to do then? You know, you don't want to go off of the conventional line only to then lose it. This second place battle, though, still going here on this last lap, Andrew.
is indeed. I thought Sam Sanders was going to go for it there on the inside of Charlie Summers. Alex Mitchell has cleared another bit of traffic. He's done really, really well with the traffic in this race, as Alex Mitchell has got one more corner, one more round of Taylor's hairpin to go. There he goes to the line. It was disappointment in race number 1, but Alex Mitchell in the reverse grid race takes full advantage and wins in race number 2. A brilliant piece of driving by Alex Mitchell. Charlie Summers P2, Sam Sanders P3, Josh Ladd finishes in 4th. Another strong result for Cameron Watson there in 5th. Tom Dix in 6th. And yes, Aidan Bliss is going to hold on here for P7 and first in class 2. That is very nicely done by the Cardiff University driver. James Montgomery recovers to 8th. Andrew Dawson 9th. 10th will be Chris Hansen. Hansen will have pole for race number 3. Adrian Goodwin there in the Greg's car finishes in 11th. 12th for Ben Bennyworth. It'll be 13th for Christopher Powell. Good haul of points there for Christopher. Tom Kempink in 14th in the Belgian car. And James Frame on the last of those on the lead lap. Bit of chaos out there, Howard. Only 15 cars of the 31 that started finished on the lead lap in a 24-hour sprint. But all to play for still.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think we've seen 2 very interesting races there, Andrew. And I have to say, the nature of the cars, the nature of the track, the combination of the 2, whilst there have been some great drives through the field with some good moves, you have not tonight so far, in my opinion, seen the sort of classically expected drives up through the field by the sort of usual suspects, as it were, that you might always see. We have not seen, you know, the likes of Josh Ladd and Michael Preston just romping through, no matter where you stick them on the grid, through to the sharp end of the field. That hasn't been so easy for them in this format tonight, and I think that's making for a really interesting round.
And yeah, I absolutely agree. We're going to take a short break here, 5-minute warm-up and comfort break for the drivers ahead of race 3. Keep it locked here on the DDMM YouTube channel. We'll be back shortly. Everybody to live coverage from Knockhill for round 3 of the 2022 CLUB100 and BUKC iRacing Championship. Apologies, we've just had a little wobble. Elgato's had a little wobble, but we've got it back together now. Howard Mitchell is, fingers crossed, still with me whilst I've left him in the Discord darkness. Are you still there, mate?
I am indeed. I am indeed. No Elgato wobble is going to get rid of me, mate. Assuming you can hear me.
Yeah, loud and clear.
That would have been ironic.
Thankfully, slightly longer warm-up to what we're used to. 10 minutes instead of the normal 5, which was opportune. What do you make of the first few races that we've seen so far tonight?
It's been just, I mean, it's been gorgeously close as just a general, from a neutral racing perspective. There have been some fantastic battles that we've seen. I think there are drivers, I think it can sometimes be harder to tell with touring cars relative to some of the other cars that we race, but I can tell from the body language of the cars and from some of the stuff in chat as well. The drivers are really pushing here. This is a really competitive evening's racing, and I think a lot of these drivers are really, you know, maybe some of them didn't take to oval racing too well last week, or they've been doing a lot of, you know, touring car races for their participation in this season in iRacing. You know, we are getting towards the end of an iRacing series, so if you have been, you know, racing one of these cars in particular this season, you have spent a good few weeks with them now if you've been participating across the season. So the drive really pushing, and you know, there's a few drivers kicking themselves for mistakes that they wish they hadn't made, or bad fortune that's hit them. It's a really good showing, I think, here, Andrew, that we've got a very good core of drivers who are really into this season, really passionate about this series. And whilst I know some of them might be kicking themselves now, it's great to see. It's great to see that competitiveness. And I have to say, I don't know if it is just because it's the longer warm-up, but there's quite a lot of drivers out on track for a warm-up. It's interesting. Everybody's wanting to get in those laps, get back in the groove ahead of this final race.
Good evening to Greg Smith. Some cracking stuff out there tonight, lads. Well done. Thank you very much, Greg, for getting in touch in the comments there. If you're watching at home, do drop us a note, say hello, let us know who you're cheering, if anyone in particular. a minute or so away from the end of this interlude in proceedings for the drivers and for us commentators here in our DDMM HQ and Rugby Outpost. And thank you for your continued support of the channel. If you've just joined us or you missed the start of the broadcast and you're wondering, round 3, this is the second stream we've done of the year. Yes, you'd be absolutely correct. We did film round 2 though, and round 2 has got an extended highlights package on the DDMM YouTube channel, so if you've not seen that yet, do go and check that out. Do check out our sponsors and supporters in the description below. So big thanks as ever to G3 Pro, CLUB100, BUKC and Simply Catnip, who've joined the troop for 2022. And we should talk as well, Howard, say there's still opportunities for drivers to join in the fun if they want. Drop scores are in play and you can still get a full championship season score if you join now. So if you've enjoyed tonight, the description, the details are in the description below. C100 iRacing on Facebook and Discord are the places to go. The next round of the championship, which will be streamed, will be on. He furiously checks the notice board. March 23rd, and another new discipline, single-seaters for the first time in our series here, and will be at Spa-Francorchamps. Here's your grid, though, for race number 3. Chris Hansen on pole position, Andrew Dawson alongside on the front row. James Montgomery and Aidan Bliss there on row 2. Tom Dix and Cameron Watson on row 3. Josh Ladd and Sam Sanders on row 4. Charlie Summers and Alex Mitchell on row 5. Adrian Goodwin and Ben Bennyworth row 6. Christopher Powell and Tom Kemping row 7. James Fremont and Matthew Whitefoot on row 8. Paul Watson and Alan Curtis row 9. Christopher Kirk and Ian Sumner completing the top 10. Andrew Golby and Luke Austin in row 11. Matt Hale and David Whitehouse on row 12. And then we find Craig Brown and Michael Preston, who hopefully we see back out on circuit, on row 13. Roger Parry and Ian Allen on row 14. Ed Keefley and Jay Elliott row 15. JJ Aston due there on in 31st position. On come the lights here at Knockhill. And out they go. Good start for Chris Hansen there. And look out for the Audis. They are quick off the line. And look at James Montgomery going down the inside, going for the lead into Duffer's Dip. It's going to be side by side with Chris Hansen. There's a slightest bit of contact, but what a start that is, Howard, from James Montgomery.
It is, but look at that. Oh, in contact with Hansen between him and, was it Dix across the grass there?
Was indeed. Was indeed. There's a lot of problems out there once again. Oh, my
goodness me. Oh, we've got cars sideways in the middle of the track, Andrew. And I'd be amazed if this wasn't a caution of some description.
Yeah, I think that is going to be a safety car once more.
Good start from Josh Ladd in all that. He's managed to get himself up into second position. Looks to me like Tom Dix and James Fremont have had to tow back to the pits. Yeah, here they are. Yeah, dramatic start. Big incidents there at the start of that one, Andrew.
Yeah, very big indeed. And that may be a couple of drivers and their evenings done.
And we haven't actually gone to caution, have we?
No. The race keeps going. James Montgomery still in the lead. So Montgomery, Ladd, Sanders is your lead 3 at the moment. Here we're looking at Aidan Bliss in 5th place.
Eyes on ammunition in the chat, Andrew, having his best 2 results in CLUB100 iRacing ever this evening so far. So driving well. As is this man here, I think. Adrian Goodwin having a good few drives. on the tail of race 2 winner, Alex Mitchell, but right now having to worry a little bit more about Cameron Watson, who I feel has gone a little bit under the radar for us this evening, Andrew, but he's been putting good, secure points on the board.
Yeah, he really has been. He's been one of the drivers who's taken advantage of being in the practice sessions, getting the laps under his belt. And is driving very, very nicely out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And could capitalise on a few of these battles happening ahead of him here. Because this one could get a bit spicy. This is the closest battle at the moment in this field. His race leader, James Montgomery. But Josh Ladd is not the easiest driver to have in your rear wing mirror. Or even your rear wing mirror? The rear view mirror. Deary me. But absorbing the pressure well so far is Montgomery. As the battle from 6th place down, excuse me, from 5th place down, continues to rage on.
I think if this was a Tour de France stage, which it isn't, but if it was, I think the award for most combative driver would go to the driver that we're on board with now, Adrian Goodwin. He's been absolutely sending it, brilliant on the brakes. He's got Alex Mitchell in the defensive spot now. Cameron Watson looking down the inside. Room given by all drivers there.
Yeah, it was a nice bit of racing. And a good move by Watson. Taking up into 9th place for now, but you don't feel like Goodwin's going to settle for that, do you? It's just got that feel about it. I am enjoying having the variety of cars, much as I'm still going to slightly lament the lack of Honda. Sorry, everyone. I just like the Honda. But it's good to have the variety here, Andrew, and the slightly different, you know, I think the good drive off the hairpins of the Audi versus the good riding of the bumps by the Hyundai is making for a nice combination here. As Aidan Bliss has a look down the inside. Or excuse me, Alex Mitchell has a look down the inside of Aidan Bliss at Taylor's and gets the job done. James Montgomery, race leader, now coming under increasing pressure here from Josh Ladd. They've got a couple of seconds gap, these two, over Sam Sanders. But there's traffic ahead after the incident on the first lap. So there's that to come into play as well.
So back marker is Christopher Powell, just pulling over to one side of the circuit, dutifully being attentive to those blue flags. Really can't call this one on the sums at the moment. Mr. Hicks is watching, and he's got his systems at the ready for tallying up the points, even though he's not in the country.
Yep, crack out the slide rule in the abacus, I'd say.
Yeah,
this is going to be quite tight.
There's been no driver who's dominated tonight. All of them have had their own problems in some way, shape or form.
Oh, and Aidan Bliss is off.
Yeah, loses number of positions. Craig Brown goes by him there in the not Renault Laguna Hyundai there. Gets back up to 12th place. It's now your biggest mover of the race. Once again, Craig Brown showing the way to pull through the order. There's a rather sore-looking Andrew Dawson, number 23 car.
Yeah, can't tell if it's an improvement or a detriment on the cooling. The bodywork's bent in, but it does look to me like his radiator grill has been lost. So, even Stevens?
Yeah, all equal time. Hello to Bryn Albin as well, another one of our drivers who was racing down at Buckmore Park at the weekend. I need to get involved in this at some point. Absolutely, Bryn. We need you on the grid. We need some more Welsh representation in this field. Meanwhile, in Scotland this evening, look at Josh Ladd trying to get James Montgomery offline here into Taylor's. James Montgomery holds it to the inside and shuts it down. That was very nicely done by James Montgomery, not letting Josh Ladd get that switch back.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice judgment so far from Montgomery, as you say, Andrew. And the longer this goes on, is there opportunity coming for Sam Sanders?
Oh, is that a lane down the inside? Contact!
Well, not for the first time this evening, Andrew. We see some major contact at the front of the race involving Josh Ladd.
Yes, and we're going to leave it there because we're not the scrutineers in this scenario.
It's not meant to sound as accusatory as it may have done. I'm simply making the observation. I want to make that clear.
Sam Sanders is tucked up behind. Could Sam Sanders be on for another round victory here? He's been solidly near the front throughout the course of this evening. Into turn one they go, so it's Ladd, Sanders, Summers, Montgomery, Luke Austin in amongst it again, down the inside of Adrian Goodwin. That's 13th place. Oh, doesn't quite get the exit right, and Christopher Kirk might have something to say about this as well, just behind in the 15. In fact, Goodwin's coming into the pits. He's not happy with things at all, so that is the end of the night for Adrian Goodwin. That promotes Matt Hale up a spot as well. There he is in the 333.
Chris Hansen in one of the Simply Catnip cars. Under pressure from race 2 winner Alex Mitchell. They head towards Taylor's hairpin once again.
Very hard to call as well. What's going to be the case in Class 2? In this race, Tom Kemping is at the front of the order in 9th place. A nice race as well from Matthew Whitefoot. It's probably the strongest display that we've had from Whitefoot so far in this league. He's in the top 10. He's been pushing on the top half all night. That would be a really good result if Matthew Whitefoot could bring it home. We're at the halfway stage of this final race of the evening. Look at Alex Mitchell really hustling the back of Chris Hansen's 01 car here. Both of these runners in Class 1. And I've just reconfigured where we are on circuit because Adrian Goodwin is actually about to go a lap down here. Already is a lap down. About to go a lap down to Hansen and Mitchell. Hansen taking that slightly deeper line initially, cutting back, taking the apex nicely. Very short braking zone into turn 1 though. Not going to be an opportunity for Alex Mitchell to get by this time around. Sweeping down the hill. Through McIntyre they go.
And again, Andrew, this is a difficult place for Adrian Goodwin to get out the way. It's not an easy part of the circuit to catch up to traffic. Oh, that's more out of the way than he would have wanted to have got.
Yeah, I think Goodwin just stayed. And that's the thing. You stay a little bit wide on this circuit. You get in the dirt, you get in the gravel, you lose the grip. So you get in the marbles more than the gravel. You then end up in the gravel. That's exactly what happened to Adrian Goodwin there. Didn't want to turn in on Hansen, who had gone and put his nose in there, which is perfectly obliged to do. Alex Mitchell looking a lot more confident now than he was in race 1. That race 2 victory really does seem to have done him a lot of good. Here's Ian Sumner going for a move on Andrew Golby, the 888 on the 119. This is over 19th place. Paul Watson just behind. These are 3 new drivers to the championship this season. Here comes Paul Watson. He's almost got an overlap. He's got more than an overlap. Can he get it done on the brakes in the Audi into Duffus? Dip side by side. Great racing between Sumner and Watson there. Sumner wins out for now, but that was a good attempt from Paul Watson.
Yeah, really like that, and great racing room given between these three drivers at the moment. Oh, was that a moment for Andrew Golby? Yes, it is. Alan Curtis is off, sorry. Andrew Golby had a moment, Alan Curtis is off.
Yeah, I'm trying
Not
to see
sure
if
what
he's
happened
damaged. He may have a wheel out of alignment. He's just keeping out of the way for now. There's damage to the rear left. He's gradually getting up to speed once more. Here's Craig Brown and Matthew Whitefoot with Aidan Bliss. Yeah, just behind. This is all over 10th place, 10th, 11th and 12th. Bliss looking down the inside of Whitefoot there. Nice move if he makes that one stick. Little bit touring car on the exit, but Aidan Bliss is through.
And significant in Class 2, Andrew, because that takes Aidan Bliss into second place for the Class 2 runners in this one.
Yeah.
So another good race from Bliss in this evening's racing. Did have the off-track moment earlier on, but is still on for a good run as it stands at the moment. Back at the front there, Andrew. I don't know if it's traffic coming into play, but it's closed right up here between Ladd and Sanders.
Yeah,
Charlie Summers isn't a million miles back either.
Yeah, it has indeed. I think it's Ian Sumner just ahead of him who's run a bit wide and may have compromised the line of a couple of the leaders there. James Montgomery sniffing around for an opportunity to get by. On board with James Montgomery now. That's Charlie Summers ahead of us in the PG Tips car. Into Duffus Dip we go. And Sumner might be a bit wide and be under attack from Paul Watson in a moment. Josh Ladd is having to soak up a lot of pressure, and it does feel this year the number of drivers, we've had a few new drivers come in and other drivers picking up their game, particularly Sanders and Montgomery, who joined the series midway through 2021. They really are taking it to the reigning champion here in the third round.
Yeah, it really is an interesting one, isn't it, Andrew? This is not feeling, things aren't feeling as nailed on for, I'm going to use one of my buzzwords, but things aren't seeming as nailed on for our key protagonists as maybe it has done in previous seasons.
Yeah. But nice lines being put together there by Josh Ladd. He's got a bit of a gap once again over the rest of the order. Oh, he's run wide. He's run wide as we cut to Matt Hale and Christopher Kirk going side by side off of Taylor's hairpin. The chicane has been proving problematic for Ladd. We saw it in his qualifying. He lost his first qualifying lap due to running wide at that point of the circuit.
I don't know if it's just how the graphics are coming over my end, but it might be because you can't see it. It's got very dim over the circuit all of a sudden. Very overcast.
Is this it? Is this the iRacing? Have they chosen the Club 100 BUKC iRacing Championship at the time that they turned the rain on? Surely not.
I mean, Knockhill would be a plausible location.
Tom Kemping and Cameron Watts. This is a good fight. Over 8th place. Kemping getting into his stride. Very, very good driver. Was part of a winning effort with Aaron Mayle back in the day for the old BUKC Graduates Championship. Teams Championship that was held, I want to say about 4 years ago. Has done many things before and since. Here's the Bliss Whitefoot affair. Craig Brown's galloped away down the road. This will be a good race for Craig Brown. It's been a topsy-turvy night for him so far, but is looking to finish it well.
Chris Hansen on board, all over the back of Alex Mitchell towards the end of that last lap.
He looks to be all over the back of, is that Montgomery? No, that's Ian Sumner.
No,
apologies.
Yeah.
Who moves aside as he is off the lead lap at the moment. Chris Hansen trying to find a way past already a race winner tonight, the number 53, Alex Mitchell.
Sanders having to go defensive for second place here against Charlie Summers, Andrew. Summers will try for the switchback. Get a run up the hill towards start-finish. You can't take too many risks because James Montgomery, and this time it is James Montgomery, we can be certain of that, is right there breathing down their necks.
3 laps to go then here at Knockhill. Third race of the evening, last race of the night. Can Josh Ladd hold on for this victory? I hate to use this word, but it may be a little bit provisional if he's on top of the standings. There is a protests and reviews process that any driver is allowed to activate should they choose to do so.
Now that the top 4 have got by on Ian Sumner, he's being subjected to quite the battle here with Chris Powell. It's contact. Oh, dearie me, that's got a bit too leery. But they both survived to battle another corner.
Yeah, Powell did have a run off of the corner. He will argue that he was entitled to be there. And once again has got to run off the final corner. He's going to try and go around the outside of Ian Sumner here into turn 1, but both of them at least kept going. Didn't lose any positions. Sumner deep on the brakes. Oh, contact with Powell and off. And that may be a broken bit of steering for Christopher Powell. Rejoins the circuit. Loses 1 position there. Andrew Dawson going by. The blue and orange was 4 position.
Looking back from Alex Mitchell, Chris Hansen in the Simply Catnip car, looking for an opportunity here. Doesn't feel it's on for Taylors, but might be on the switchback. Oh, that's getting nice and close, right up in the grill there of Chris Hansen. But does that mean that the and there's
Christopher Kirk?
Yeah. Well, the pits are effectively closed by that action. Not in the conventional way. But hopefully no one's trying to box right now.
This shouldn't be anyway. It's a sprint race. What's happening here, though? Leader has been blocked by David Whitehouse and by Luke Austin. And this has all of a sudden opened things up. Luke Austin down the inside. Charlie Summers is going to be up the inside. We're going to go on to the last lap here. And look at this. 1, 2, 3. Battling hard. Charlie Summers, does he have a lane on the inside to try and get past Sam Sanders into Tougher Stip? He's going to go for it. And Josh, they're all off. They're all off the road. Somehow Charlie Summers has held on to it. That's a brilliant piece of car control. It's chaos out here at Knockhill. Still, Josh Ladd leads the race. Summers second, Sanders third. The incident points are going to be going wild here in the server. James Montgomery's still there in 4th place as well. I'm not quite sure what caused all of that. And for them all to get back onto the same piece of road, and they tried to all use it, somehow they still carried on. They're on to the last corner now. Josh Ladd is going to win race 3. It's been a slightly controversial evening here at Knockhill, but round the final corner, Josh Ladd is going to take race 3. Charlie Summers takes a brilliant second place, and into the wall goes Josh Ladd. He got across the line. But there we go. Yeah, that is one way of doing it. Ladd wins from Summers, Sanders, Montgomery. Alex Mitchell is going to come over the line in 5th place. There he is, brilliantly driven, if I may say so, by Alex tonight. Chris Hansen finishes in 6th. Ben Bennyworth, we didn't mention him at all already. So apologies, Ben, but that's a top 10, a solid top 10 for Bennyworth there in 7th. Top class 2 from Tom Kempick in 8th. Cameron Watson 9th. Craig Brown finishes in 10th. Aidan Bliss on his return is going to take 11th. Matthew Whitefoot, 12th place. That top 10 will come. Keep plugging away there in the 104, Matthew. Good driving tonight. 13th place for Matt Hale. 14th for David Whitehouse in that race. Luke Austin 15th. Paul Watson, Adrian Goodwin, Andrew Golby, Christopher Powell, Andrew Dawson is your top 20. Ian Sumner, Alan Curtis, Tom Dix, James Fremont, and Christopher Kirk. That's the top 25. There were non-starters. From JJ Aston, Michael Preston, Rodri Parry, Ed Keefley, Ian Allen, and Jay Elliott. Well, that was a little bit interesting.
Not half. That got a little bit leery, but it got leery throughout the field there, Andrew. I mean, Josh Ladd was off in that last lap, as was Charlie Summers. That was dramatic stuff for the closing lap, and I think that summarised in one lap the story of the race. There were a lot of nice close battles, but a lot of even more is I just you may have noticed I tactically flashed the incident points up on the tower just in the last lap there. It's been an interesting one.
Right, well, let's have a look. Well, there is your feature, or your final race result. Ladd from Summers, Sanders, Montgomery, Mitchell is your top 5. Hanson, Bennyworth, Kemping being the top of the Class 2 runners. Cameron Watson and Craig Brown also in the top 10. Good drive there from Craig to get into the top 10. Aidan Bliss, I reckon, is going to be fairly high up the order in Class 2 tonight. Has been solidly in the top 15 in pretty much every race, if I'm not mistaken. Matthew Whitefoot 12th, Matt Hale 13th, David Whitehouse 14th, Luke Austin completes that top 15. Paul Watson, Adrian Goodwin, Andrew Golby take us down to the end of page 1. Christopher Powell and Andrew Dawson complete that top 20. Ian Sumner and Alan Curtis next up. Tom Dix, has been a rough night for Tom Dix, 23rd in that race. James Freeman and Christopher Kirk complete the top 25. And then, as I say, we had a number of non-starters in that last race. Michael Preston, Roger Parry, Ian Allen, Ed Keefley, Jay Elliott and JJ Aston. Aidan Bliss makes the comment, holy hell, I normally never finish. I never normally finish. And there we go.
I mean, nor do I, Aidan. It's why I'm sat where I am. But, yeah. It looks generally like people have had a bit of a good night's racing, Andrew. I'm seeing a lot of positivity out there.
Good. That's what we like to hear. Well, coming up on the channel, I'd say over the next few days, and particularly looking forward to the weekend, we will have Gran Turismo 7. It'll be me streaming it and seeing what it's like, the new Gran Turismo. But very much looking forward to that. Whilst we're waiting for the results to come in from Mr. Hicks. Mr. Hicks, if you're not calculating the points, do it now. Events that we've got coming up for the next few weeks. Well, we should mention as well, if you've not watched it, do go and watch round number 2 of this championship. But yes, we've got. I think our next stream is actually the 4th round of the race, 4th round of the season, Spa Formula 3, which is on the 23rd of March. In a slightly relieving way, it's a little bit quieter over the next few weeks. It's been a bit hectic, hasn't it, mate, over the past 4?
Yes, it has, just a little bit. Yeah, obviously we hope to bring everyone some really good content, but a few chill weeks of working on some other things behind the scenes is much needed and appreciated, I think, at TDMM Towers.
If you are looking for something to watch, you can always go over to the Alpha Live channel as well. We had the stream on Sunday of the sprints action, and it was some really, really good racing at Buckmore Park. We have got a result in, just whilst I'm padding for time. Next real life commentaries will be BUKC finals, in fact, at the end of the month, end of March, so do tune in for that. It'll be Howard and James Johnson from Rich T Racing calling on that one, because myself, I will be on my way up to Rowra for the start of the new Super 1 season. We're very happy to announce yesterday that Alpha Live and DDMM will once again be providing streaming and commentary for Super 1 series through 2022. A great calendar as well. Back up to 6 meetings across the course of the year. First time in a few years that it's not been disrupted. We'll be starting, as I say, at Rowra first weekend of April. We'll then be making visits to Glanny Gores, Clay Pigeon, Fullbeck, Wilton Mill and Shennington. As I say, an absolutely fantastic calendar there. Do head across to the Alpha Live website for more details on that. Right, I think I've padded enough, mate. We have a result, provisional result. Before any protests, I will just put the asterisk on that. Josh Ladd has come out on top with 298 points from a possible 300. Sam Sanders finishes in second place, 295. Charlie Summers on the overall and Class 1 podium, well deserved, if you ask me, on 293. James Montgomery fourth on 284. Cameron Watson is fifth on 280. Alex Mitchell. It's a difficult one, I think, for Alex, because a race win and a really solid race 3, but it was all a race 1 in race 2, I should say. But race 1 was the one that let him down there on 277. Chris Hansen, 7th on 275. Aidan Bliss, 274 in 8th. Sorry, Ben Bennyworth in 8th on 274. Aidan Bliss is then next up, your Class 2 winner, 270. Adrian Goodwin finished in 10th. That's a Class 1 runner. I'm just going to refresh the page, bring it back up. There we go. Tom Kemping finishes on the Class 2 podium, finishes in 11th, 263. Tom Dix next up, 258. And Andrew Dawson, through all the chaos, gets a Class 2 podium, finishes on 252 points. So that is your result, provisional result from Knockhill here tonight.
There we go. But I don't know. I feel like this one is what we should stress. Provisional. But, yeah. Again, Andrew, once again, we've made an addition here to the series that I'm a big fan of. I think it's been a lot of good fun tonight. Yep. And still, we should stress, if you're watching this stuff, we were saying earlier, there's still chance to enter and still have a fully valid championship score. And even though we talk about how much variety we have, and we do, and it's great, and we're doing it again next time out with the debut of single-seater racing in the Club 100 iRacing Championship, it is worth saying that as the season goes on, we are seeing a return to some of the disciplines. The GT3s that we had in round 1, they will be back. The touring cars that we're doing now, they will be back as well later in the season as well. So if you are out there and you'd like to get involved and you're eligible to do so, then definitely have a look at it, because it's not the case, even though we have got all of this varying between disciplines, it's not the case that you've missed out on anything so far.
Good stuff indeed. We're going to wrap the stream up there, guys. Thank you very much for joining us. Hope you've enjoyed it. We will be back, as I say, for the next round of this championship on the 23rd of March for more sim racing and esports content. We are going to be having a big Gran Turismo 7 focus over the next few weeks, and do you know what, I'm going to announce this now, the Club 100 Gran Turismo League is returning. If you're interested in that, if you're a Club 100 racer and you're going to be on Gran Turismo 7, get in contact with us via the Facebook page at Double Dash We'll get you in touch with Sam Dimolo, who's organising that one. We will be kicking off on the 5th of April. More updates in due course on that one. But we're going to finish the stream on that point for tonight. As I say, thank you very much for joining us. If you've enjoyed the stream, do make sure you're subscribed. Do make sure you've pressed the notification bell and the like button as well. Thank you very much for joining us here at Knockhill on the DDMM YouTube channel. Until next time, have a good one and bye-bye.